The prime suspect in the 2005 disappearance of Alabama teen Natalie Holloway in Aruba is on his way to the U.S. to stand trial. NBC News reports Joran Vandersloot was handed over to FBI agents in Peru this morning. He'll be flown back to Alabama this afternoon to face extortion and wire fraud charges. He's accused of promising Holloway's mother information about her daughter's death and the location of her remains in exchange for thousands of dollars. To learn more about how this case could play out in court is our 21 News legal expert, Matt Mangino. Matt, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay.
Yes, Joran Vandersloot is accused of lying to Natalie Holloway's mother, taking $25,000 in exchange for information about where her daughter Natalie's body was located. What are the possible penalties for the charges that he's facing here in the U.S.?
Well, it's a serious charge. Felony wire fraud is punishable by up to 20 years in prison. So, he's facing serious charges here. And the extortion charge is certainly, when you think about the context of this, this is a guy who's been a suspect in Natalie Holloway's murder, and he tries to extort money from the family to let them know where the body is. I mean, he hasn't been proven guilty of anything. But when you look at the context here, it's a terrible, gut-wrenching situation.
Yeah, and he's in the middle of serving a 28-year prison sentence in Peru for the murder of another woman. So what happens once he stands trial here?
So what'll happen is when he arrives in the United States, he'll be arraigned just like any other criminal defendant, and he'll be required to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. It's going to be not guilty at this stage. And then the process will move forward. There'll be discovery and exchange of information. There'll be pre-trial motions filed, and ultimately this case will go to trial here in the U.S.
Okay, and just to catch up the viewers, Natalie left a nightclub. She is seen on surveillance video with Vandersloot and two other men before they drove away. That's the last known location of her whereabouts on the island of Aruba. Vandersloot, he's caught up in a lie here, it appears. He also is accused of lying about what happened to others before. What do the parents of Natalie Holloway hope to gain out of having him come here and face charges?
I think they hope to gain, some sort of closure. Obviously, Natalie's disappearance in Aruba and her presumptive murder is only a case that you could try in Aruba. You can't try Vandersloot for her murder here in the United States, but you can try him for the wire fraud and the extortion. And hopefully it'll give some solace, some closure to the Holloway family, with regard to her tragic death.
And the mom said, knowing that he will serve time, maybe that'll help, but they don't know what happened to their daughter. Could anything happen here that could lead them to the truth? Could they offer a plea deal or any other way to dig up this information from him?
Well, what they could do is they could interview him about Holloway's murder, and they could bring in investigators from Aruba to participate in those interviews. And ultimately, if he were to confess to Natalie Holloway's death, he may be able to be prosecuted or provide other information that might be incriminating. So I would think if they have any hopes of moving forward with a homicide prosecution in Aruba, that they're going to be working along with authorities from Aruba who could bring those charges if there was something divulged.
Interesting. So maybe this is the beginning of something where we'll learn more, or just another unfortunate dead end for this family. I know both parents have hired private investigators, and you said you even talked with Nancy Grace. It's just heartbreaking to hear about and think about that they still don't know what happened to their daughter.
Yeah, it is. And I've had a chance to talk with Nancy Grace, who actually visited with the family and went with the family to Aruba and investigated that with some other persons who were involved in the investigation and hired from the outside to try to help. It is a tragic situation that just keeps going on and on and on.
All right, well, we'll follow this latest part of the story. Matt Mangino, thank you for your expertise as always.
Thank you, Lindsay.